So is this all that's going to happen? Like the gloves and a necklace? Look at that. I could have sworn I would have like a really sweet black cape by now or something. I mean, okay, I guess black hoodie makes sense. Pandemic has been hard on us all. Michael Pataki was born in 1938 in Youngstown, Ohio. He was the youngest of 3 children, and his parents were Hungarian immigrants. He would attend the University of Southern California, graduating with a double major in political science and drama. He made his screen debut in 1958 with an uncredited role in The Young Lions, and he would appear in numerous television shows, including The Loretta Young Show, The Twilight Zone, Combat, and Rawhide. But he credited the launch of his acting career to his experience in a summer stock festival in Edinburgh in 1966, where he was widely praised for his portrayal of the role of Jerry in Edward Albee's Zoo Story. The same year, he would appear in a 2-episode story arc of Batman, playing Amenophis Tewfik. In 1967, he played what he considered one of his favorite roles, the loud-mouthed and belligerent Korax in The Trouble with Tribbles, the first character in the history of the franchise to speak the Klingon language on screen. Now, I don't know how accurate it is, but it is believed that the favorite Klingon insult, Patak, was actually derived from Pataki's last name as sort of an Easter egg / tribute. The 1970s would be a particularly fertile time in Pataki's career, as he would co-star in Get Christy Love in the role of Pete Gallagher, recur on The Amazing Spider-Man as Captain Barbera, and guest star on a string of massive television hits, including The Invisible Man, Happy Days, Alice, Barney Miller, and McCloud. He would continue into the 1980s as a favorite guest star, even appearing in the 1988 episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Too Short a Season, as Karnas. But by the 90s, he had primarily shifted into voice acting, voicing Batman the Animated Series' Sewer King, and George Liquor for The Ren and Stimpy Show.
Don't forget, you are the last of the line.
Well, that's pretty wild, Inspector. But I'll tell you one thing, if what you say is true, I'm gonna make a lot of money.
Oh?
Yeah, I'm gonna sue all those people who've been making Dracula pictures without my permission.
Albert Band began his career as a director and a producer with 1956's The Young Guns. His resume is a who's who of B-movie goodies, including directing I Bury the Living, Hercules and the Princess of Troy, Ghoulies 2, Troll, and Dr. Mordred. And he would help to launch his son, Charles Band, down a similar path. In 1977, he set out to film a screenplay written by Frank Ray Perilli, a former gag writer for Shecky Greene, Dean Martin, and Don Rickles. The movie, known by the titles Dracula's Dog and Zoltan, Hound of Dracula, tells the story of the awakening of Dracula's pet dog Zoltan after the Dracula family crypt is uncovered by Soviet soldiers in Romania. Michael Pataki plays the dual role of Igor Dracula in flashbacks and Michael Drake, the last descendant of the Dracula line. With the help of Inspector Vaclav Branko, played by Jose Ferrer, Drake must battle vampire dogs to keep them from turning him into the newest vampire lord. This is not a movie for animal lovers. I'm sure none of these animals were harmed in real life, as the camera always moves away before you see any actual injury occurring, but not many movies ask you to root for a hero as he bludgeons dogs to death with the butt of a rifle. That's just not a good look. But there is this absolutely glorious moment that I must share with you where some guy just seems to wander onto the set.
You are dismissed. You are right. Definitely a vampire, too.
I know these villagers.
As Igor Dracula, Pataki pretty much just stands around and looks grim. He's not really the focus of the movie. The real focus is Pataki as Michael Drake, last of the Dracula bloodline. Except that he has a wife and 2 kids, so they should be the last of the Dracula line. Look, who cares about internal consistency when there's a great title like Last of the Line of Dracula to be had? Drake is pretty typical for a 70s low-budget action hero. He's manly, grim, and actually not that great a guy. This is a man who plans on taking his family on a camping trip, but they have to beg him to bring the family dogs along. I mean, we've been talking about vampires this entire list, but this man is a stone-cold monster.
What are we going to do about Steve and Linda?
Well, what about Steve and Linda?
They feel terrible leaving the dogs behind.
Well, they're not going to be left to starve. The parks are going to take good care of them.
The real question to me is not why the filmmakers thought we would enjoy watching him fight dogs hand to hand, but rather how this character manages to withhold his urges to do exactly that through most of the movie until the vampire dogs show up. As always with independent films, tracking how successful or profitable they were can be difficult. We don't really have figures on the budget of the movie, except that it is well known that the Winnebago was the most expensive prop. Nor do we have box office figures for its theatrical releases in the UK and the US, but critics were not kind to it, with Michael Wilmington of the Los Angeles Times calling it the nadir of vampire films, and TV Guide calling it ludicrous. However, I do give this movie serious props. It promoted itself with the tagline, "There's more to the legend than meets the throat." And that's a pretty baller tagline. Pataki passed away in 2010 at the age of 72. His final completed work was the voicing of George Liquor for the controversial Kickstarter-funded John Kricfalusi short, Cans Without Labels, which is also dedicated to his memory. So tell me, what do you think of Michael Pataki's performance in Zoltan, Hound of Dracula? Did this movie actually convince you to root for a man whose major task throughout the movie is that he has to kill multiple dogs? Drop down into the comments below and let me know what you think. And while you're down there, make sure that you hit like and subscribe. There's a share button so you can share this with any of your friends who enjoy B-movies, enjoy Dracula, or are really, really big Michael Pataki fans. There's also a bell next to the subscribe button that you can hit in order to actually receive notifications every time this channel updates. Until next time, I'm Glenn Williams, reminding you to watch like it means something.
You are right. Definitely a vampire, too.
I know these villagers.